Hello there. Today I'm going to look at the Playwell sword racks. These are commonly available on Amazon, eBay and loads of other websites. And I've just had a garage conversion done and they seem like a good idea. So this video, it's going to be quite short. The really short version is that they're really not very good. But if you want to know a little bit more and maybe about how to make them actually half useful, then keep watching this video. Now the reason I wanted to get these sword racks is I've just had quite a large garage conversion done on my house. So it was a double garage. It's been converted into a recording space for YouTube videos for the HF. It's going to also be used for sort of basic sword training and tutorial type stuff as well. I've got exercise equipment in there, so it can be used as a home gym. A couple of arcade machines for when you want to have a bit more fun than exercise. And even some 3D printers are in there as well. So it's a kind of a universal activity room. So why did I buy a Playwell sword rack? In fact, why did I buy two of them? Well, it's quite simple. I don't have the time to build something myself. I'm not a carpenter. I could build something if I really needed to, but I've got a full-time job, as pretty much all of us do have, or hopefully we have at the moment. So I'm a full-time writer. I just don't have the time to put something like that together. I wanted a rack up quickly and easily that I could put swords on, have as a backdrop for YouTube videos, and also somewhere to put some of my swords. Not all of them, because I do have an awful lot of swords. But I can keep alternating, change them around, make it look a bit more interesting. Now, why did I look at the Playwell sword racks? The answer to that is very simple. You can buy them almost everywhere. As I said at the start of the video, you can go to Amazon, you can go to eBay, you can choose just about any random website, including Playwell themselves, and they all sell these sword racks. Now, they're not particularly cheap. I've seen them go between £80 and £110. I have no idea what they're priced at the moment. And you'll get them next day. Even I ordered one from Amazon and one from Playwell, and they both arrived, I think, within 48 hours. So that's really quick. So that's one positive at the very least. Why did I have this particular design? Well, if you look, Matt Easton did a video where he bought the same style of rack, but it's the one where you can fit directly onto the wall. So it's just a simple frame with gaps to hold. I think it's about 8 swords. I didn't want that. I wanted something that wasn't flush with the wall, because I'm not just going to have sabres on it. I'm going to want long swords, rapiers, side swords, and all kinds of complex hilted swords. I decided to buy these particular sword racks because they're designed to be floor standing. This means I don't have to modify the wall in the garage conversion I've just had done, so I can move things around, change things up, put up different backgrounds, or maybe even just rearrange the room. I'm not 100% on the way it's all put together at the moment. But perhaps more importantly than that is the fact that these racks can be pulled away from the wall, which means that you can put complex hilted swords on there, and they won't push back behind the rack, damage the wall, or even maybe not actually fit onto the rack, just because there isn't enough sort of space on the lugs that push out to fit the swords onto them. So in theory, these sword racks look like they might do the job. Now, I would say that on the website, or in fact on any of the listings you'll find for them, at no point does it say these racks are great for holding steel swords. In fact, they generally don't say they're great at anything. The only pictures you'll tend to find with swords on them is with things like shinai and sort of bokken, sort of wooden swords that are very light. I'd say if you're going to buy the sword rack for doing that, then it's okay in terms of what it can actually do. But we'll get back onto that in a moment. But so there's nothing actually on the website about sort of the load carrying capacity, or at least I didn't find anything. So you think you could just buy it, assemble it, pop all your swords on, and you'd be done. Well, unfortunately, that's not quite true. So I got the first rack in, the second one was delayed a few hours, so I think one came next day, the other one came the morning after, so they were both within 48 hours. First one arrived, opened up the packaging, and the quality is absolutely dreadful. And the wood is that really cheap sort of furniture, soft wood that you find. So you get a piece, it's sort of a bar, and pull, down on each side and it bows in the middle. So it's not good quality hardwood, and you're still paying around £100 for half a dozen pieces of wood. So you'd expect something a little better. The paint job on it is crap, to be honest, for want of a better word. It's very thin, it's inconsistent, it doesn't look very good. So I actually had to paint mine again because it just looked really bad. But anyway, you put it together, or as best you can anyway, because it doesn't fit together particularly well. So you've got a flat section at the bottom with the two legs and two vertical bars pushed into them, and then a crossbar or crossbeam at the top. So you put it all together, push in the kind of the wedges at the top. There's a few screws. I think there were a few. No, I don't think there were any screws actually. It had these wedges. You push it all together, stand it up, take a step back, and wonder why you just did it, because the thing is god awful. So you stand it there, you walk up, you just tap the thing, and it looks like it's 200 years old and about to fall down. It kind of wiggles, sort of it rattles, it sways, and that's with nothing on it. I put a couple of swords on there, and the vertical bars actually bent forwards and backwards under the weight. So if you're going to buy it stock, just forget it. Put a couple of wooden swords on there, or attach it directly to the wall, and at least you'll get away from those problems. But if you want something, you can put long swords and rapiers and anything with a bit, something more complex around the hilt, or unusual, anything that doesn't fit the standard mould of a relatively flat sword. It's not going to work. It just cannot take the weight. So you'll see from the video that I still have mine. So what did I do? Well, I didn't do anything actually. I happened to have a couple of builders around, and one of them was a carpenter, and he was very keen to try and improve it. So he built a frame that goes behind the entire sword rack. So basically a rectangular frame that effectively recreates the entire sword rack from behind. So you've got this whole sort of frame screwed directly into the original wood, which gives it some rigidity. He also put three, is either two or three, you'll see on the video, additional pieces along the base to help support the weight and to give it more structure, and also for the frame to screw onto. He reinforced the top bar with an additional piece of wood, and in the middle he put an additional bracing piece. So rather than just having a rectangular frame that can move, it's got this separate section in the middle which keeps the entire thing rigid. Now of course at this point you're probably thinking, well, that sounds like he could have made the entire thing from scratch. And yes, that was one of his suggestions once he'd modified the first one, and then the second one arrived. He did ask me, did I just want him to make effectively a copy of it, but actually in good quality wood? And I could have, but then it wouldn't match the first one, and there also wouldn't be a particularly useful video coming out either. Because if I bought it and it's not particularly good, I want to make sure you see it and you find out about it, and then you don't go and buy one as well, or you modify it, or at least you know what it's like before you buy it. So you've got this wooden structure built. It's reasonably, well, no, it's very solid now. I of course needed to repaint it, so the whole thing top to bottom, put some black paint on there, put the swords on it for the first time, and yes, it worked. But the swords rattle, they roll around, they're not held in place because it's just bare cheap wood pushed out from the front. So my solution was to buy sort of black foam insulating tape that's adhesive on one side, and then apply it to the inside of each of the kind of the hook sections on the front. So it's like a padded section that you then lower the sword onto. With that, the swords don't move. You haven't got the blades directly touching the wood, so you've got something soft for them to sort of nestle onto. And it all looks pretty good now. But you can see I'm not particularly impressed with the actual product, and I would definitely recommend you don't buy it if you're intending on just using it straight out of the box. So, simple summary: are they any good? It's a 12 sword rack, I should say. I'll put the link into the listing. Are they any good? No, is the first one. Are they worth buying? No. Are they worth the, let's say, £100? Definitely not. I'd say they're worth about 30 quid, maybe 40 if you're feeling gracious. And anything else to say, really. I don't think so. The short version is that they're not very good, so modify it and use it, or do your own thing. And that's it. Any questions about the Playwell sword rack, ask me, and I'll put a comment, or I'll reply to your comment in the video. Thanks.